I want you to take a second right now and just look down at exactly what you are wearing.
Just take a quick inventory.
Yeah, take an inventory. Is it a t-shirt? Maybe a comfortable pair of
Or
jeans?
maybe you're bundled up in a cozy hoodie.
Right. And if you are, you probably feel pretty relaxed. You probably feel like you're dressing for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're actively rejecting the old school, stuffy corporate suit and tie.
Which is a completely natural assumption to make.
But what if, and this is the core of what we're getting into today, what if that casual, comfortable outfit you are lounging in is actually the most rigorous, inescapable, and highly regulated corporate uniform in modern history?
It is a brilliant paradox, really, because we naturally associate denim and cotton tees with weekend freedom, with personal comfort.
Oh, absolutely.
We rarely stop to think about the sociological phenomenon known as enclothed cognition.
And clothed cognition.
Exactly. It's the idea that what we wear directly influences our psychological processes. And more importantly for our discussion, how these specific, historically rebellious garments were co-opted, engineered, and ultimately mandated by the very corporate structures they were originally meant to defy.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we have a truly fascinating mission today for you. We are diving into a highly satirical, brilliantly observant blog post from the year 2026.
It's a fantastic piece.
It really is. It's titled, "Jeans and T-shirt Have Become Uniform in Techland." And this piece was sourced from Paramendra Kumar Bhagat's blog. It was actually sparked by a social media exchange involving Craig Weiss and Paramendra.
Yeah, they were essentially joking back and forth.
Right, joking about how someone needs to start a tech bro designer brand because the
Wow.
uniformity is just so absolute at this point. So today, we're going to trace this hilarious, almost tragic trajectory of tech fashion.
Tragic is definitely the right word for some of it.
Oh, just wait until we get to the branded plants. But we're going to look at how the ultimate anti-establishment rebellion morphed into a mandatory daily uniform. We're going to wade into the escalating absurdity of startup swag.
The swag swamp, as the author calls it.
The swag swamp. And finally, we'll explore the sci-fi, biofabricated future of workplace attire that this 2026 blog envisions.
To really grasp the weight of the satire Paramendra is laying out here for 2026, we have to establish a baseline premise. And that premise is that the clothes we wear to work are never neutral.
They're never just fabric.
Exactly. They are a psychological signal of who holds power. And if we look back at the 1950s and 1960s, which is really the dawn of computing as we know it, the prevailing corporate attire was the iconic IBM gray flannel suit.
Right, the classic look. White button-down shirt, black tie, sharp trousers.
It was the absolute epitome of corporate bureaucracy. It signaled that you were an interchangeable component in a massive corporate machine.
But in that era, the people who were actually building the technology, they weren't these high-profile celebrity founders.
Not at all.
They weren't taking private jets to elite global economic conferences in Davos. The original computer geeks were basically basement-dwelling wizards.
Wrestling with massive room-sized machines.
And literal punch cards.
Yes, and you have to consider the physical reality of that early work environment. These pioneers were pulling all-nighters, they were debugging code and sweating over overheating mainframes in these poorly ventilated rooms.
Right.
If you were crawling under a giant buzzing machine with a flashlight, a Windsor knot and a starched collar are a physical liability.
They were a choking hazard.
Literally. So ditching the Wall Street suits for jeans and polos, it wasn't some calculated avant-garde fashion statement at first.
It was pure survival. They just wanted clothes that didn't chafe during a 48-hour coding sprint.
It was entirely practical. But in making that functional choice, they inadvertently sparked a massive cultural movement. By refusing to wear the suit, they were implicitly rejecting the IBM-era bureaucracy. It was a quiet mutiny.
A mutiny that ended up changing everything. So if the 50s and 60s were about practical comfort in the server room, when does it transition into an actual, deliberate cultural statement? Does that happen in the 70s with the Silicon Valley boom?
That is precisely the inflection point. The 1970s is when Silicon Valley becomes the birthplace of the tech hippie.
The tech hippie.
Right. You have the founders of these massive legacy companies, places like Sun Microsystems, Oracle, Microsoft, and they're essentially the counterculture youths of the 1960s who have now entered the boardroom.
They grew up.
They did, but they brought that specific anti-establishment vibe directly into their nascent corporate structures. The goal was to dismantle traditional hierarchies.
So they looked at Big Blue at IBM and those mandatory white shirts, and they saw soul-crushing conformity.
Absolutely.
The irony here is just so potent to me. They were actively broadcasting this message of, we are far too busy innovating to iron a shirt. And they genuinely thought they were subverting the system.
And to be fair, it was incredibly effective anti-establishment messaging at the time. The suit represented the slow-moving dinosaur corporations of the past, the jeans and the t-shirt. They represented the agile, disruptive future.
But they didn't realize they were just drafting a new rule book, a much more specific rule book, which actually brings up something I've always wondered about the 1980s, specifically regarding Steve Jobs.
Ah, yes. The evolution of his uniform is legendary.
It is, because early on, he's in a suit. He's trying to look the part of a serious businessman when he's pitching.
He was playing the game.
Right. But once Apple really hits, he transitions into the iconic look. The Issey Miyake black mock turtlenecks, the classic Levi's, the New Balance sneakers.
The uniform.
The prevailing myth is always that he bulk bought hundreds of those turtlenecks, simply to eliminate decision fatigue so he could focus entirely on innovation. Is that really true, though? Or was Jobs just incredibly aware of personal branding?
What's fascinating here is that the decision fatigue narrative, while perhaps partially true on a practical level, totally masks the immense power dynamics at play.
Okay, tell me more about that.
The blog brilliantly touches on this concept. This posture of being above fashion was, in reality, fashion's ultimate power move.
Wow.
It was a highly curated image that communicated immense authority precisely because it rejected the traditional expected symbols of authority. Paramendra describes it in the post as a Jedi robe for coders.
A Jedi robe for coders. I love that analogy so much because it elevates the casual look to something almost mythological. You aren't just wearing a turtleneck.
You are wearing the garments of a technological visionary.
Exactly. And once that mythology is cemented by figures like Jobs, we enter the 1990s and the 2000s, where the rebellion just becomes fully institutionalized.
It becomes corporate policy. Paramendra brings up a fantastic historical detail about this era. Levi Strauss & Company actually mailed a comprehensive guide to casual business wear to 25,000 human resources departments across the country.
Wait, a denim company literally instructed corporate HR departments on how to let their employees wear jeans.
Yes, they literally mailed out a guide.
That is wild. That is the official birth of business casual and denim Fridays. The tech industry had successfully proven that you could build billion-dollar empires without looking like a traditional banker.
They won the culture war.
They did. But this is also where the whole thing starts to feel suspiciously like a uniform itself, isn't it? The individualized, witty t-shirts eventually gave way to this vast sea of absolute sameness.
It is the commodification of disruption, and nothing exemplifies this better than the aesthetic shift in the 2000s. We all know the ubiquitous image of the tech wonderkind strolling into high-stakes Wall Street meetings wearing gray tees and hoodies.
Mark Zuckerberg being the prime example.
Exactly. But what Paramendra's post zeroes in on is that those weren't standard-issue $10 cotton shirts. They were custom-made by luxury designers.
Right, often costing hundreds of dollars a piece.
Sometimes $300 or $400 for a plain gray t-shirt.
That completely changes the narrative for me. From, I don't care about clothes, to, I am displaying immense stealth wealth.
It's a massive flex.
It's incredibly hypocritical. It says, I am so powerful, I cannot be bothered with buttons, but I will happily spend $300 to achieve this specific brand of effortless nonchalance.
And we really have to consider the exclusionary nature of this newly established norm, too. The blog points out a really sharp detail about women in tech during this era.
I was hoping we'd get to this.
While the male founders were adopting this hoodie and sneaker uniform, women in tech often found themselves in a very difficult position. They had to adopt a very specific, neutralized aesthetic, usually dark jeans and simple tops, just to blend into what the author calls the bland brigade.
The bland brigade. It really highlights how a culture claiming to prize pure individuality actually enforce a very rigid aesthetic.
Very rigid. If you dressed too formally, you were out of touch. If you dressed too fashion-forward, you were viewed with suspicion.
You lacked culture fit.
Exactly. Yeah. You weren't focused enough on the code if you care about the cut of your jacket. The rebellion had successfully established its own strict parameters of conformity.
Which brings us to the present day of our source material, the year 2026. The blog declares that the heist in fashion history is complete.
The denim dictatorship has won.
The denim dictatorship. The rules are entirely inverted now. According to the 2026 Post, Venture capitalists won't even look at your pitch deck unless you are wearing $200 artisanal distressed denim.
It's a prerequisite for funding.
And I love this phrase from the source. The denim has to look like you wrestled a bear on your way to the boardroom.
It's absurd. It's paying a massive premium to project an image of intense physical labor.
When your actual day-to-day existence consists of typing on a mechanical keyboard.
Right. In a highly ergonomic $1,000 office chair, traditional wealth signals like bespoke suits are now viewed as archaic, or worse, as a sign that you aren't a true insider.
The blog actually jokes that showing up to a startup in a suit makes you look like a spy from the 1950s.
Like you're undercover for IBM.
Exactly. Except for anomalies like Elon Musk wearing designer suits on Saturday Night Live. But for everyone else, it is eternal, heavily policed casual Friday. So in this 2026 landscape, who are the real disruptors?
The blog suggests it's the bankrupt tailors, the people who actually know how to construct a garment with structure.
Or the ultimate renegade is simply the person who dares to walk into an open-plan office wearing a crisp button-down shirt without a single corporate logo on it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it proves that the anti-uniform is now the inescapable uniform. The fashion industry absorbed the dissent, repackaged it, and sold it back to the tech world at a premium.
And that idea of the uniform, it really spills over into the accessories they give you, doesn't it?
Oh, heavily.
Because a tech uniform isn't complete without the company merch.
Oh.
Which brings us to what Paramendra brilliantly calls the swag swamp.
The swag swamp is where things get truly dystopian.
As the venture capital money supposedly slows down in 2026, these startups are doubling down on absurd merchandise trends.
The stated corporate goals for these items are always draped in positive, HR-approved language.
Building culture. Boosting morale.
Exactly. But the blog aggressively peels back the curtain on that. It frames this massive explosion of swag as a desperate bid to mask existential dread.
It's a distraction technique.
It's a way to placate employees who are hyper-aware that their roles might be entirely precarious.
Masking impending layoffs with free stuff. Sorry, we might run out of runway next month, but here's a branded tote bag.
That's the exact dynamic.
And the first major category the author skewers in the swag swamp is the illusion of sustainability. He describes this highly specific, deeply satirical item, an ocean plastic water bottle that features RGB hydration lights.
Which is such a specific visual.
It is. Now, for anyone unfamiliar, RGB stands for red, green, and blue. It's that glowing, customizable lighting you see all over high-end PC gaming setup.
The neon pulsing keyboards.
Right. Why on earth is gamer lighting on a sustainable water bottle?
It's the collision of two completely disparate tech trends. You have the hyper-optimized gamer aesthetic on one side and performative eco-consciousness on the other.
It's so jarring.
The lights flash to remind you to drink water, effectively integrating your basic biological needs into the company's wellness ecosystem.
But the satire cuts much deeper than just the lights, doesn't it?
It does. The text explicitly notes that these supposedly sustainable bottles are actually harvested by underpaid interns.
Of course they are.
And the bottle features a QR code linking directly to a corporate carbon offset scam.
It is the ultimate physical manifestation of virtue signaling. The company gets to say, look how green we are, while participating in the exact systems causing the problem. And my absolute favorite detail about this bottle.
The leaking.
Yes. If this cheaply manufactured bottle happens to leak all over your desk and ruin your paperwork, the company's internal comms just brands that leak as an immersive user experience.
That is brilliant corporate doublespeak.
It's hilarious.
But it perfectly highlights the contradiction of mass-producing supposedly eco-friendly items that will inevitably end up in a landfill, all while claiming the moral high ground. It distracts the workforce from the actual structural issues of the company.
Which leads right into the premium apparel trend. Because we've moved away from those cheap, scratchy, cotton promotional t-shirts that shrink immediately after one wash.
The ones that fit like a box.
Exactly. The 2026 swag swamp is all about quiet luxury. Startups are handing out $50 heavyweight fleeces in colors like Founder Fatigue Beige and Millennial Gray.
The naming conventions are just too good.
Founder Fatigue Beige. What is the psychology behind blanketing an entire workforce in a color called Founder Fatigue Beige?
Well, those specific muted color palettes, which are often associated with the broader Millennial Gray interior design trend, they're designed to whisper luxury while remaining entirely inoffensive.
Completely devoid of personality.
Precisely. And the logos on these fleeces are aggressively minimalist. The blog notes that while the design attempts to convey understated elegance, what it actually screams to the outside world is overvalued startup.
And then you have the vintage vibe retro tees.
Mhm.
The blog levels this incredible critique here, arguing that these startups act as if they have literally invented nostalgia.
Yes.
The author says that nostalgia in this specific corporate context is just code for we ran out of original ideas.
It's a profound observation. When a company's vision of the future is hollow, or perhaps failing, they borrow the visual aesthetics of the past to create a false sense of established history.
To make themselves look reliable.
Exactly. It's a manufactured legacy.
And this curated aesthetic, it extends deep into the wellness swag category. The blog introduces this concept of the experiential imperative.
Right, swag isn't just a physical object anymore.
No, it has to be a holistic journey. And this journey is paved with aromatherapy candles with names like Burnout Bergamot and Pivot Peppermint.
Those names are painfully accurate parodies of corporate therapy speak.
They really are.
The company is explicitly acknowledging the exhausting 80-hour work weeks, and they're acknowledging the constant, stressful shifts in strategy, the pivots.
But instead of fixing it,
Exactly. Instead of offering structural solutions like better working conditions or clear leadership, they offer a scented candle as a palliative measure.
sorry you haven't slept in 3 days because we changed the product roadmap at 2 a.m. Please enjoy this Pivot Peppermint.
It's insulting when you really think about it.
It is. And they pair it with yoga mats made from sustainable cork, which the blog jokes is upcycled from all the wine bottles the team emptied during their late-night coding sprints.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the most insidious part of the wellness swag is the personalization.
Having your name printed on it?
Yes. Putting an employee's name on this wellness gear forces an artificial sense of team spirit. You belong to the brand. But as the blog points out, when that employee eventually quits,
Or is inevitably laid off.
yeah, that personalized, branded yoga mat simply becomes a haunted reminder in the back of their closet. It transforms a corporate gift into a lingering psychological burden.
It's so dark. It's a ghost of your past burnout. And then we move from the wellness items to the actual tech gadgets, which are just a sci-fi fever dream designed to keep you at your desk longer.
The gadgets are where the satire really peaks.
We have wireless chargers disguised as desk organizers. Because why organize your thoughts when you can organize your tangled cables with a gadget stamped with your startup's logo?
The gadgets mentioned represent a profound devaluation of the individual.
How so?
For instance, consider the mugs featuring AI-generated caricatures of the employee.
Oh, right.
The source describes this as turning the worker into a Simpsons character mid-existential crisis.
That line killed me.
The company is subtly communicating that they don't view the employee as a complex human being. You are just a two-dimensional cartoon mascot for the brand's culture.
But the thing that really captures the absurdity of the current tech ecosystem, I think, is the fuzzy sock game.
Oh, the socks!
The blog dives into how startups at conferences fiercely compete over branded foot warmers, socks that say, "Step up your sock game," or feature camouflage patterns so you can be in stealth mode.
It elevates absolute triviality to a status symbol. You have companies with multi-million-dollar valuations aggressively peddling cheap footwear to conference attendees.
Who hoard them like rare collectibles. People will wait in line for an hour for socks. But the punchline and the perfect metaphor for this entire era of tech is that these socks are incredibly fragile.
They are completely disposable.
They unravel after a single wash.
Exactly. The product overpromises and dramatically underdelivers. It unravels almost immediately, much like the volatile startups that commission them.
That fragility of the fuzzy socks is a great point. And if you think that localized office swag is dystopian, imagine what happens when you scale that up to a massive industry event.
The trade shows.
Yes. The author actually paints a picture of a trade show, specifically CES in year 2026, to show us peak swag absurdity.
Paramendra really pushes the satire into the realm of the surreal here. We move from mere corporate merchandise to over-engineered nonsense. The first example is a booth hawking a hairdryer that doubles as a floor lamp.
A hairdryer that is also a floor lamp. The pitch is essentially, why blow-dry your hair when you can illuminate your existential dread under the same device?
It makes absolutely no practical sense.
None. And of course, the startup logo is printed on it in glow-in-the-dark ink. But the ink only activates during power outages. It's perfectly making fun of the industry's desperate need to multitask mediocrity.
It is, but the most audacious piece of satirical hardware is what the author dubs the taint zapping stick-on.
Okay, I have to read the exact description of this because it is so unhinged. It is a wearable device that revitalizes the nether regions with gentle electric pulses, promising to boost productivity from the bottom up.
It represents the absolute logical extreme of weaponized wellness.
Weaponized wellness, that's exactly what it is.
We've moved way past standing desks at this point. This is a gadget designed to electrically stimulate a worker to prevent them from losing focus during a long meeting.
And naturally, it features QR codes for downloading personalized Zap profiles.
It reflects a culture where every single waking and sitting moment of your biological existence is ruthlessly optimized for the company's bottom line. You aren't even allowed the basic human dignity of being tired.
You can't even zone out for a second without a mild electric shock. It's horrifying.
It asks the employee to completely surrender their bodily autonomy to the hustle culture. And speaking of that hustle, the article introduces emotional support bots.
Right, because your actual human coworkers are too burnt out to support you. The company issues a robot speaker.
A surrogate colleague.
Exactly. But it doesn't just play lo-fi beats to study, too. It literally dances to your pitch decks. It gyrates wildly during earnings calls, even when the key performance indicators, the KPIs, are tanking.
It's completely oblivious to reality.
The visual of a little robot aggressively grooving on a desk while a company's stock plummets is spectacular satire.
It provides this hollow, automated, toxic positivity. It's programming cheerfulness into a bleak situation. And these devices, along with everything else at CES 2026, are equipped with NFC technology.
Let's actually clarify NFC really quickly for anyone who isn't familiar with the hardware side of things.
Certainly. NFC stands for Near Field Communication. It's the same fundamental technology that allows you to tap your credit card on a reader to pay. It allows devices to communicate when they are extremely close to each other.
Just a few centimeters apart.
Right. So in this satirical 2026, as you wander around a dystopian networking event, your devices are constantly utilizing NFC to beam your LinkedIn profile to anyone you physically bump into.
And the program's social rules are so deeply passive-aggressive. The blog says you tap the device once for a simple connection request. But if you tap it twice, it sends a passive-aggressive endorsement of the person's hustle.
Which is such a layered insult.
It is. How does NFC gamifying interactions like that change the nature of a conference?
It reduces human interaction to literal, aggressive data transmission. You are no longer shaking hands, you're no longer making eye contact or having a real conversation. You are physically colliding to trigger an automated exchange of professional metrics.
You're just a walking router. And this maximalist, over-engineered approach applies heavily to the apparel they are wearing at these events, too. We all know the famous Patagonia fleece vest,
The Midtown uniform.
which the author hilariously compares to a mullet in a boardroom, business on top, party nowhere.
It's a great line.
But by 2026, even the vest has evolved.
It has. It now features built-in mood stamps on the collar.
Mood stamps.
Yes. These stamps actually project words directly onto your forehead during virtual Zoom calls. They brand you with statuses like busy or chill.
It completely removes the need for actual interpersonal communication. You don't have to read social cues. You don't have to ask a colleague how their day is going. Their vest is loudly broadcasting their required state of mind to the entire virtual room.
It treats human emotions as just another Slack status update.
Exactly. And the executives are dressing even more outlandishly to prove their status. We have tech leaders wearing shearling aviator jackets, giving off this intense, I'm disrupting aviation from my desk energy.
Or sporting crocodile-embossed leather, which Paraminder aptly describes as a budget Bond villain aesthetic.
Bond villain.
And rainbow plaid shirts that scream, I'm innovative but colorblind. It's a sartorial cry for help wrapped in sustainable bamboo fibers.
A cry for help that leads us to what might be the most tragic piece of swag on the entire trade show floor.
The branded plant.
Yes, the branded plant.
The corporate bags of dirt.
They hand out these seed gifts that are genetically engineered, or at least physically molded, to grow into a succulent that perfectly matches the shape of the startup's logo.
Which sounds cute until you hear the catch.
There's a massive catch.
Yeah.
It requires daily verbal affirmations to thrive. If you neglect this branded plant, it slowly wilts into a brown, dying, passive-aggressive reminder on your desk of your horrific work-life imbalance.
Your literal ability to keep a tiny organism alive becomes a visible metric for your dedication to the corporate brand.
If the logo dies, you have failed the culture.
It perfectly encapsulates the swag swamp. None of this is about utility. None of it is about joy. It's a Rorschach test to see who has truly surrendered to the industry's pervasive absurdity.
Which serves as the perfect pivot to the final evolution Paraminder envisions. because tech fashion is no longer just about comfortable uniformity, and it's no longer just about quirky merch. The blog outlines a future where clothing becomes a piece of aggressive wearable technology designed to project absolute dominance.
The clothing itself becomes the ultimate statement of, I am the establishment now.
The first item on this futuristic runway is the AI-powered pendant.
The text mentions tech giants like Meta and Apple leaning heavily into cute tech. So this isn't a clunky smartwatch or a massive VR headset.
No, it's subtle.
It's a sleek, dangling dongle that clips onto your collar, designed to look like a piece of high-tech jewelry.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The aesthetics are cute, but the functionality is terrifying. It is constantly listening to your conversations. It whispers stock tips directly into your ear. It physically glows when your crypto portfolio spikes.
And it vibrates to alert you during awkward silences in venture capital meetings, prompting you to speak up. It acts as an algorithmic, real-time coach for your social and professional interactions.
And the craziest feature, it records your shower thoughts on the fly so you can, quote, patent them before they evaporate. You are literally wearing a wire on your own subconscious.
It highlights a future where no passing thought is private. Every idle musing must be immediately captured, categorized, and monetized.
It's the end of daydreaming. But if you think the AI pendant is intense, we need to discuss the biofabricated apparel.
The mushroom leather hoodies.
The mushroom leather hoodies. This is where deep tech meets textiles. Startups are scaling up lab-grown materials like mycelium, the root structure of mushrooms, and algae-based fabrics.
The concept is circular fashion taken to its extreme. You wear the hoodie, and when it wears out, you can supposedly compost it in your backyard. But the source takes it a step further into the surreal.
As it always does.
These living hoodies have embedded biosensors that constantly monitor your body's hydration levels.
And if you don't drink enough water from your RGB bottle, presumably, or if you fail to water the hoodie itself, the fabric will literally sprout tiny fungi. Your clothes will start growing mushrooms as a physical, highly visible penalty for poor biological maintenance.
It's an incredible visual. The author mentions designing these garments with creamy yellow ruffles to achieve an earthy but expensive aesthetic.
Earthy but expensive.
And they are often paired with vests made from upcycled e-waste, where the intricate circuit board patterns light up under UV light for after-hours networking events.
It's turning the tech executive into a walking compost heap, crossed with an underground rave. It's completely absurd. And what kind of pants are we pairing with our mushroom hoodies? Holographic brute denim.
This is where the digital and physical worlds fully collide on the human body. The denim isn't just physically distressed in a factory with pumice stones anymore.
No, it is distressed by AI algorithms that generate slop patterns on demand.
AI slop patterns.
And the jeans feature flexible, embedded screens. So while you're walking down the street to grab a coffee, your thighs are projecting your latest NFT collection, or even a real-time feed of your GitHub coding commits.
That's the most intense part.
Let's pause for a second. For anyone who isn't a developer, what exactly is a GitHub commit, and why is it insane to project it on your pants?
GitHub is essentially a cloud-based platform where software developers store, manage, and track changes to their code. A commit is a saved update. It shows that you've actively done work and pushed it to the shared repository. In the developer community, it is the ultimate metric of a programmer's productivity. People look at your commit history to see how hard you work.
So projecting a live feed of your commits onto your clothing
Is essentially broadcasting a real-time ledger of how hard you're working to everyone on the street. Your legs become walking billboards for your relentless side hustle.
Look at my thighs, I push code at 4 a.m.
Exactly.
Furthermore, these jeans feature auto-adjusting fits via embedded actuators. The author jokes, who has time for belts when you are scaling?
Belts are for the unoptimized.
And the digital patterns can shift into alternative prints, like zebra code stripes, to give you an aggressive predator in the boardroom edge.
Okay.
But if the screen on your jeans glitches and crashes during a demo, you just casually refer to it as an immersive user experience.
That phrase covers all sins. And to complete this overwhelming ensemble, you need the smart glasses with AR overlays. Evolving from our current smart glasses, these act as agentic commerce enablers.
Wait, agentic commerce? That sounds like serious venture capital jargon. What does that actually mean in plain English for the person wearing these glasses?
Agentic commerce refers to artificial intelligence agents making transactions, negotiating deals, or conducting commerce on your behalf completely autonomously.
Without you lifting a finger.
Exactly. So these glasses aren't just showing you a map or a text message, they are actively facilitating business deals overlaid onto your physical reality. They project your pitch deck directly into your field of vision.
But it's the networking feature of these glasses that is so intense. They scan the faces of the people you were looking at and literally whisper their LinkedIn statistics into your ear.
It's terrifying.
You're standing at a mixer holding your RGB water bottle, and a synthesized voice in your head is telling you that the person across the room just got a promotion and increased their Q3 revenue by 12%.
It completely eradicates the concept of a serendipitous, authentic human encounter. Every interaction is pre-screened, analyzed, and evaluated for its potential return on investment before you even say hello.
You're just looking for the highest ROI conversation in the room. And the final, ultimate power move of 2026 fashion, the generative AI t-shirt.
This is the pinnacle. It's a plain t-shirt made of advanced e-ink fabric. It acts as a blank canvas connected directly to machine learning algorithms.
It uses biosensors to detect your mood, or it scrapes the internet for trending memes, and it shifts the pattern of your shirt on the fly.
In real time.
1 minute you are in a high-stakes meeting, and the shirt displays polite dots and checks for boardroom polish. The next minute, you step outside, and it erupts into a chaotic explosion of AI-generated art to prove to the world how innovative and disruptive you are.
And for the pied de resistance, the collar has a tiny integrated speaker.
Oh, right.
And it recites your startup elevator pitch on a continuous, unending loop.
As the blog says, your shirt knows you better than your co-founder.
It's incredible. It is the absolute, inescapable peak of personal branding. You are the product. This raises an important question, though. When our clothing is amplifying our personal brand, projecting our side hustles on our thighs, and reciting our business pitches so aggressively, do we ever truly clock out of work?
Oh, honestly, no. If your shirt is pitching for you while you're standing in line at the grocery store, you are never, ever off the clock.
It's the complete dissolution of the boundary between work and life.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this incredible journey together. We saw how tech fashion started as this righteous, practical mutiny against the establishment. The 1950s geeks just avoiding chafing, and the 1970s hippies throwing off the gray flannel suit to dismantle the hierarchy.
A genuine rebellion.
But then, we watched it morph into a mandatory, highly policed uniform of $200 distressed jeans, $300 custom t-shirts, and branded fleeces that enforced their own rigid conformity.
The bland brigade.
Then we waded through a swamp of absurd, existential, dread-inducing swag from taint zappers and RGB bottles to plants that demand your verbal affirmations.
The swag swamp.
And finally, we rocketed toward this insane future runway of AI-generated fungi-sprouting smartwear that turns your physical body into a walking, data-emitting billboard for your professional metrics.
It is a profound trajectory from practical liberation to absolute biometric commodification. But it leaves us with one final, perhaps unsettling thought to ponder based on everything Paramendra's satire has laid out today.
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
If our future clothing is constantly monitoring our hydration, broadcasting our mood via ink screens, and scanning faces to whisper networking stats into our ears, does getting dressed in the morning become the ultimate privacy surrender?
Oh man, that is a heavy thought.
Think about the implications. If the establishment uniform of 2026 is fully connected, radiating data, and constantly optimizing your professional life at the expense of your peace, then what does true rebellion look like in that ecosystem?
Right, how do you rebel against clothes that are smarter than you?
Will the true anti-establishment rebel of 2030 be the person who chooses to wear completely dumb, disconnected, invisible clothing? Clothing that leaves absolutely no digital footprint at all.
The ultimate luxury will be a t-shirt that does absolutely nothing. No Wi-Fi, no sensors, no AI slop, no agentic commerce, just plain silent cotton. That is going to keep me up tonight.
That's a fascinating future to consider.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the denim dictatorship and the swag swamp. We hope you'll take a hard look at your closet and, as always, keep questioning the world around you.